I mean, we live in a world where we have queers for Palestine. We have women for Islam. We almost have Jews for Hamas, which is the living embodiment of the Nazis. Am I the only crazy one here? The West is the only civilization in the world that doesn't take the threats of its enemies seriously. I mean, the enemy is staring you down and saying how they're going to destroy you. But Western politicians say, no, don't worry about it. We love you. All right, folks, this is Harris Sultan, and I have another piece of tragic news. Just another day in Europe. Surprise, surprise, another Islamist, this time a 25-year-old man born in Afghanistan, attacked and stabbed multiple people in Mannheim, southwest Germany. Who was this man? Well, the police, as usual, are not very forthcoming with all the information on the perpetrator, probably because they don't want to fan the anti-migrant sentiment in Germany, as that is the growing trend all over Europe. I wonder why that is. Must be racist people everywhere, I guess. But what we know so far is that he is a migrant who fled Afghanistan under the guise of the Taliban are persecuting me. So Germany took pity and took him in, like millions of other migrants fleeing persecution in their Muslim countries. Just like that woman in London who was fleeing Hamas and took refuge in Britain, but after October 7th, she was celebrating the acts of Hamas. Clearly, she was a Hamas asset. You know, the critics have been saying for a very long time that you don't know who's coming into Europe. What these virtue-signaling self-righteous politicians thought to be a humanitarian act was actually importing terrorists. The question is, how many such people live in Germany, France, the UK, Canada, Sweden, America? Sends shivers down my spine. Look at this Islamist propagandist living in America, openly praying for his fellow Afghan terrorists. May Allah help our Afghan brother recover from the bullet wounds of the police and free him from the prison of Germany. May Allah forgive his sins and give him patience in this difficult time. The West is the only civilization in the world that doesn't take the threats of its enemies seriously. I mean, the enemy is staring you down and saying how they're going to destroy you. But Western politicians say, no, don't worry about it. We love you. Look at this Turkish German. Look what he's saying. YouTube, this video is being shown for reporting purposes. This channel does not endorse these views. Check out this video.
Leute, endlich gute Nachricht. Endlich gute Nachricht. Dieser Stürzenberger wurde abgestochen. Inshallah bekommt der Junge, der ihn abgestochen hat, die höchste Stufe im Paradies. Ich schwöre bei Allah, ich schick dir Geld, mein Freund. Ich schick dir Geld, ich schick dir Essen, ich trink dir, ich schick dir alles. Inshallah passiert das mit Ex-Muslimen.
He is saying he's going to stab all ex-Muslims and critics of Islam. And he lives in Germany. Tens of thousands of such people live not only in Germany, but in Europe as well. These guys have European passports, meaning they can go anywhere in the world to carry out their threats. And instead of cracking down on these people, our self-righteous politicians say, the far right is the problem. Look, I am a brown guy. Under no circumstances would I ever stand with the far right. But these politicians are enabling and facilitating the far right by their inaction on these terrorist sympathizers.
Der Islam wird in Deutschland kommen, ob du willst oder nicht. Deine Tochter wird Kopftuch tragen. Sein Sohn wird Bart tragen. Okay? Und deine Tochter wird einen Bärtigen heiraten. So, und wir vermehren uns immer mehr. Ihr Deutschen kriegt ja keine Kinder.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you noticed that the frequency of these attacks has increased? The perpetrators almost always are members of only one community. They're not blacks. They're not far right. They're Islamists. So what happened? Why are these Islamists openly and boastfully celebrating this terrorist event? The answer is obvious, because they know no action is going to be taken against them. Anyway, if you watch the video, which obviously I can't play here, it perfectly encapsulates the condition of the police in the West. A police officer quickly pounced on a white victim instead of restraining the knife attacker. Consequently, he immediately paid the price for his bias, thinking of, oh, it's always the whites that are troublemakers and browns are the victims. The knife attacker stabbed the police officer in the neck while he was restraining a white man who was actually trying to help the police. The attack was brutal and quick, and he stabbed multiple people around 11:35 a.m. The attacker actually targeted anti-Islam activist Michael Stürzenberger. Stürzenberger, and members of his organizations called the Citizens Movement Pax Germania or Europe, something like that. Stürzenberger was injured in the leg and face and requires surgery, although his life is not in danger anymore. The police officer who made the mistake was critically injured and is undergoing emergency surgery. It was pretty bad. The attacker was eventually shot and injured by another police officer. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz condemned the violence, stating it was absolutely unacceptable in a democracy. Oh, they keep saying that but do nothing. They keep wondering why parties like the AfD are becoming more and more popular but don't do anything. Even a double-digit IQ person would know the motive, but according to Germany's Interior Minister Nancy Faeser, they don't know the motive behind the attack. Sure, they don't know anything. I really don't know why societies react to danger so slowly. The writing has been getting clearer and clearer since the turn of the century. You've had attacks on Danish cartoonists, then on Charlie Hebdo, and you've had literally hundreds of such attacks from Islamists in Europe. Politicians have been assassinated by Islamists, yet there is a huge percentage of natives who still don't recognize the threat of Islamism in Europe and the West in general. Seriously, tell me, what more do you want? At this point, I seriously think if we were invaded by aliens tomorrow, a year later, if we survived, a huge percentage of humans would be blaming the resistance fighters and saying, oh, well, aliens are not that bad. It's the trigger-happy, gun-toting humans who are the problem. There is a serious flaw in humans where no matter how apparent a danger is, they're just unable to see it. I think this is a drawback of us creating societies, because people like this would not have survived a day in the wild. Imagine you hold this view towards a dangerous predator. Oh, this is a cute cuddly bear. I want to hug him. Humans warning me about the dangers of bears were hateful people. These idiots would not have survived a day in the wild. But societies protected these people from those dangers. Our societies have protected these idiots from outside dangers for thousands of years. And this is where I think this mutation of not recognizing the danger despite it is being so apparent occurred. This is the only explanation for these virtue signaling, self-righteous, pathological, altruistic, suicidal clowns. I mean, we live in a world where we have queers for Palestine. We have women for Islam. We almost have Jews for Hamas, which is the living embodiment of the Nazis. Am I the only crazy one here? I think I'm done. I think I've seen enough. Look, as desperate as it might seem, I still don't think that it is futile to try to wake the sleeping Westerners up. I seriously, genuinely believe that we only need a few more Geert-Wilders in Europe. I think the Netherlands, hopefully, although it will take a long time, will lead the way and set an example of how to deal with this threat of Islamism. This is why I think it's important for people to come out and support people like Tommy Robinson. I think these guys are our last defense against this existential threat. Anyway, I hope you liked today's video. If you'd like me to continue making awesome videos like these, then you can support me by becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Harris Sultan, or you can buy me a few coffees on buymeacoffee.com/Harris Sultan. I'll see you again in the next video. Until then, ta-da. If you'd like to support my work, you can become my patron by going to patreon.com/Harris Sultan, or you can simply buy me a coffee.